The XY Advisor podcast is intended for professional financial advisors. All discussion is limited to publicly available information and should not be interpreted as legal, professional, or financial advice. XY Advisor does not hold an AFS license nor provide any financial services. Before making investment decisions, you should obtain financial advice from a qualified financial advisor.
Financial advisors help Australians live better lives, and we're great at it. But what about us? For us to thrive in the coming years, I'm here to ask a very big question. How can we live better, run better businesses, and help more clients along the way? My name is Jessica Brady, and I would love for you to join me as I listen and learn from experts who answer these very big questions. I am lucky enough to record most of my podcasts on Gadigal land.
Perpetual is a dynamic, active manager offering an extensive range of specialist investment capabilities, including Australian and global equities, credit, fixed income, multi-asset, as well as environmental, social and governance, designed to help meet the needs of clients across Australia and New Zealand. Underpinned by our long-standing and market-leading Australian equities capability, Perpetual also offers an extensive contemporary range of funds. As one of Australia's longest-serving and most trusted investment managers, our long-standing commitment is to deliver superior outcomes over the long term to clients.
G'day, how's it going? What do you know, Strike a Light? I'm back in front of the mic with my good friend, Dill. Mate, how are you?
Clayton, I'm doing very, very well. Besides the flu every second week, I'm doing very well. Thank you.
Look, I feel the pain. So just for our listeners, the Thursday podcast is a bit of a takeover, a celebrity spin, so to speak. Jess, who normally handles the Thursday podcasts, she's on a bit of a she's gallivanting around the galaxy on an international soiree, as you do when you live the life of a flaneur. Great word, look it up. And got sick in Morocco. And so she goes, Clay, can you please fill in for me for 1 week? And the first person that came to my mind was to interview you, Dill, because it's almost like the birth of the podcast has followed the birth of your self-employment journey. And every couple of years we kind of catch up, and, it started with, when we're all, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, and we're all like,
17.
wow, yeah, getting into this stuff. And now we're sort of a handful of years in. And so, yeah, man, I thought it'd be great to sort of touch base with you, get an update, see how you've kind of adopted or approached a COVID and post-COVID and re-COVID, if you want to consider it that way, environment. What you have found has worked, what hasn't worked, in terms of, like your internal processes, acquisition of clients, quality of advice, all that kind of cool stuff. Yeah, and sure. Man, I'm pretty pumped to get in front of you. So I guess we'll start with, from the last interview, which I guess was about 2 or 3 years ago, to now, we have encountered COVID. You've been self-employed through the whole thing. What has worked and what hasn't worked?
Yeah, good point. Yeah, good to be back on here. Yeah, I think I've done a couple of podcasts across the years. I think one of the early ones was 2017 when we all looked probably about 10 years younger, not so much 5 years younger. Just a bit of a background. Started in the firm that I own now in 2010 in December, coming up 12 years. Started in the engine room, as you do, or as you should do. Get your hands dirty and kind of work out all the processes and the back end stuff. Become a part owner in 2013, and then took over the practice 100% as the owner, as you say, in August 2018. So coming up 4 years now. Had the COVID in there and had everything else thrown my way and our way as advisors, of course. Yeah. So, the first thing I did pre-COVID actually was we had a fairly big office space that we really didn't need anymore. And the rent was going up quite substantially, actually, probably up to 30 grand upwards. And just didn't need that space, really.
Yeah.
That space. So I moved into basically a small sort of serviced office. You probably know Regis.
Yep.
Similar to WeWork, obviously a lot less quality, not as nimble and nice and clean and and snazzy. But moved in there and basically have been paying sort of 10 to 12 grand in rent a year for the last good part of 3.5, 4 years.
And has that worked well? Have you liked having that separation between work and home still?
Yeah, I mean, look, you can't be. I don't want to be 5 days a week at home.
How do you run it?
At the moment, in its current form in 2022, I don't actually officially work on Mondays. That's kind of my family day,
Right.
kind of housework, just a whole jumble of life admin.
Yep.
I've got 3 young kids, so one's in high school, so it just gets busier and busier every year, as you know. But basically, I would tend to work from home 2 to 3 days a week, and in the office, pending appointments, of course, what I've got on, who's coming in, what it's for, first appointments, new clients, 1 to 2 days a week I'm in the office.
So do you find the in-person is better, like for new clients is better in person than for ongoing, they're happy to do virtual?
I always prefer, if I'm meeting a brand new prospect for, say, an initial consultation or discovery session, I love seeing them face to face. I think they love it too, because you can trust someone, but you can really trust someone, and you can build that rapport face to face. So but I've got the office there. It's a clean, professional, small, tidy space that clients know they can always come to. It's a home base, if you want to call it that. And it's worked really well. I did it before COVID, and when COVID's kicked in, I thought this has just been a blessing in disguise. Yeah, and I think a lot of people have gone that way now, either a shared or a serviced office or something of that nature. So,
cool. And I know sort of during this period, you've also changed licensees.
Yes.
Probably the first question is, how did you select the licensee? And then second of all, do you feel like it was a good decision?
We were with Count. When I say we, I mean me in the business, and the previous business owner was with Count Financial for coming up to 31 years, I believe. So long time. I'd just taken over. A couple of years in, Count's expenses were going up dramatically. It was going to be close to about 71,000 for a single AR. That's with your PI, your X plan, your Morningstar, and your licensee costs. Yes. And it was just too much. And I was looking for a bit of a sea change as well. I just basically talked to just a whole bunch of licensees, talked to a whole bunch of advisors on XY, as you do. Yep. And I probably didn't research as in depth or as aggressively as I could have or should have. But I settled for Capstone. The savings there was approximately 25 grand a year.
Yep.
So settled for Capstone, and I think we moved to Capstone September 11, 2020, of all days. I moved house the same week as well. It was a bit crazy, but 2 years in, I'm happy with my decision. I don't think any licensee is perfect.
No,
I can tell you Capstone's not perfect.
Sure.
There's things I don't like about Capstone. There's things I do like about Capstone. But the most important thing is that they're cost competitive.
Yep.
They let me run my business and let me do my thing. They don't interfere. They don't try to overcoach me or overhand hold me. There's client support when I need it. And that's pretty much all I care about.
Awesome. No, look, I mean, it makes sense. Yeah. If you think about as a part of, because we recently decided, just with the growth of XY, we're expanding into new territories, and as you do, you kind of look at across the pond at the US, and there's a US firm, XY Planning Network, right? Which and I've said it a million times on the podcast, but we have nothing to do with them. It's just really serendipitous. For whatever reason, we end up having very similar names. So as we're expecting to expand overseas, we're sort of changing our name. And we have.
I'll read your reports. Don't worry. I'm the only one though.
And so, I think in my emails right now, we've just heard back from the UK, which is successfully trademarked over there, which is great. So we're going. I never want to do this again. So we're doing it properly. We're spending about $30,000 and trademarking globally before we release the name, because there's no point in doing anything unless we can get it everywhere, right? So, but as a part of this process, as part of the name change, and I can't wait to share because it's actually a really good name. We did a real big deep dive onto the personality trait of a financial planner, like a really big deep dive, right? So we worked with this branding agency, and these guys, that's their job. They need to understand the market better than the client, in this case, us.
Yep.
And they came back with a bunch of like personality traits of the average financial planner. And I could summarize it by saying confident introvert. And I looked at it and I went, you're so right. Like that is if I think about myself, if I think about you, if I think about the broader XY, advisor community, and then beyond that, financial planners all over the world, confident introverts is a very good summary. And as a part of being confident, you don't necessarily want to be told what to do all the time. And it's an interesting thing that you bring up in terms of Capstone, and one of their value adds is actually hands off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is. When I had you have the interviews and you do your little talks with them, and you say, well, and they give you all the spiels and they try and sell the licensee to you. I said, look, I want to know that I can run my business how I want to run my business and not have a BDM jump out every month down my throat trying to give me this or give me that. I just want to. If I want hands off, I'll have hands off. If I want a handhold, I'll tell you. I'll make sure my needs are known, and I'll put my hand up and say, "Hey, can someone come and chat to me?" But I just didn't want that pressure of having to sort of just justify what you're doing to another level of person. This is your business. This is your baby. This is your client base.
Yeah.
So,
how have you found staffing? And actually, probably before that, do you have grand ambitions to grow a practice?
No.
Obviously, no. So you love the lifestyle business.
Well, whether I love it or not, I've thought about this many times. Do you go down the path of grand growth and expand have more ARs come on and more staff and really become a mega firm? I think like Ben Nash in terms of that model, and he's doing
Corey,
some of the people that I probably don't even talk to anymore. They're doing an amazing job, and if that's what they want, that's brilliant. But I'm at a point in my life, and it's all shaped from my previous or my past life. Being married young, having kids very, very, very young, at 21 at uni, and so different things shape how we want to move forward. And a more flexible lifestyle business is what's going to make me happiest.
Awesome.
It might not be the smartest move. It may not be the best financially, but it's going to make me happiest, because anything that can free my time up for things like, my other passions, which is coaching, playing sports, travel, other bits and pieces, that's what's going to make me happy. And I just want to be happy.
Awesome, man. Yeah, it's really good to know that, I think, because there's the lifestyle business, and this is sort of generic, even beyond financial planning. There's a lifestyle business where you can work 4 days a week, and there's sort of a revenue cap of, let's call it $2 million a year, right? So that's sort of the revenue cap where you've got the key person and a handful, maybe up to a handful of sort of support staff and contractors and people around you that help you get the different parts done. And then if you choose to go to the next step, because it's one set of skills that'll get you up to 2 million, right? And that might take 20 years to hit that threshold, right? But if you want to sort of sail past that point, that's when you become sort of a small to medium enterprise, and then you're aiming for that sort of $10 million cap. And so it's quite interesting, even with XY, because we're growing quite quickly, and obviously we're not aiming to be a lifestyle business. We're sort of aiming to hit 10 mil, and then beyond that would probably be the next one would be like 100 mil, right? So in a long time from now, but that's our goal, and it is a totally different strategy to when I was running a financial planning business, because I only wanted a lifestyle business at that stage. And it was me and a handful of people. What, after all these years, are you finding is the best solution for staffing and support for a lifestyle financial planning business?
It's a great question. And I'll just answer before I ask that question. Sometimes, I feel bad that I don't want to push into a big, aggressive, mega firm.
No.
But then I think of everyone's situation is so unique and so different, and my kids are so young, and there's so many things outside of professional life that I really want to achieve. I've been doing this for 12 years straight, and I'm passionate about my clients and I love my clients, but I just don't have the passion or the desire to really ramp up my business, skill set and really get out there and blow this business apart. It doesn't mean I don't care about my business or my clients, but yeah, just sort of put that point out there for anyone else who feels sort of guilty for not maybe stepping up to that next big step, but
I think it's smart to know that, man. I think it's smart to know what you want to do and not try and overdo it, because the fact that you understand that you want happiness in your life, and the fact that you understand that you have a lifestyle financial planning business, because I mean, at the end of the day, even if $2 million is the cap, $2 million a year is a shit ton of money.
Yeah.
Right. That is a lot of cash. And then depending on how much, like whatever your cost of goods sold and running and fixed costs and all that kind of good stuff is, depending on what that is. But you can pull out like a very healthy living out of a lifestyle business. So if you're pulling, a good dollar out, plus you're clear on what it is that you want to achieve, mate, I would definitely say that guilt is the last word. It's smart would be a much better descriptor, I would say.
Yeah, but it's easy to, it is smart, but it's easy to put, it's your own worst enemy sometimes, and it's a perceived pressure you put on yourself. That's the biggest one. But your question was around, staffing. So the biggest thing, and we've had this conversation, I have had issues, when you have a lifestyle business, it depends on how your business is set up, but the biggest thing for me is having access to a person, a helper, a staff, an outsource, call them what you want, whatever you want to call them, that can help you at a consistent ad hoc level. And what I mean by that is that financial planning does come in ebbs and flows, and depending on how your business is set up, and this is how my business is set up, even if I wanted to put someone on permanent part-time, I can't do it. There's just not enough work consistently for them to be doing something. And I know that sounds really unbelievable, but when you've got 98% of your clients digital only, no more posting, no more printing, they're like totally in sync with DocuSign, HelloSign. They know the drill. They know which compliance documents are coming out. They know to expect negative returns every 6 years. They know that you've trained them so well to be in sync with the way you do business. It really can be a breeze sometimes. And it's only when you get busy and you have that overflow and you've got lots on in life that I actually, I do use. I've got someone who helps me and she's amazing. And I use her at an ad hoc basis. When the tasks are there, I will assign the tasks. They'll build up, and she'll go and knock them off. And when the tasks aren't there, she won't do anything for me. So
that's awesome. If
you can find someone like that as a smaller business that's more ebbs and flows and lifestyle based, then you're on a winner. But it can be difficult to find the right person, to find the right fit.
Yes. Actually, there's someone so XY works almost identical to that as we're kind of going through a growth phase. There are, I think, 8 of us employed, but there is double that again who are contractors who help us do a whole wide variety of things. One of them who does some great content for us, because everyone that works in XY, especially on the content side of things, are former financial planners, ideally really good former financial planners, and ideally principal advisors, and ideally even ran maybe even a paraplanning business or something like that. And one of the such people that we work with is one of our team members is Adriana Day, and she runs a paraplanning business and does content for us as well. So there are people out there that can work in an ad hoc capacity.
Yep. I've normally got other roles, like you say, as well.
Yeah.
Unless you're really just wanting to dip your toes back in and just do a couple of hours here and there, you normally find that person is either on sabbatical or potentially they've got a full-time role and they love it, and they've got, maybe their kids are 18, 20, they've gone to uni out the nest now. It's sort of like, I'm happy to do a bit of weekend work and a bit of after hours work and dip in here and dip in there. And so they're hard to find, but in a post-COVID world, they're becoming more and more common.
It is true. Yeah. Actually, and this might be a really good segue into the next topic, which is, what does a post-COVID world mean for work? What do you think it means in terms of the conversations that you're having with your family about your own work and your own business, But I guess also importantly, what are the conversations that you're having with your clients? What do you think? Because like for better or for worse, probably for worse, I've been on the wrong side of history and waiting for property prices to drop to reasonable levels. I've been wrong for 20 years now. And so perhaps over the next couple of years, we see some kind of retraction. But basically, I'm looking to buy in about 2 years, right? So I'm finally going to enter the property market in about 2 years.
Yep.
And I just don't know where I'm going to buy, because the nature of work is such that realistically 2 days a week in the city, it's almost flipped now, right? It used to be 5 days at work, 2 days at home, but now it's almost like it's 5 days at home, working for a lot of that, but 2 days in the city, in the office. It's weird. Now think about what you can do if that's reality. I mean, I could move to Tweed Heads, fly in on a Wednesday, early morning flight, work all day, stay overnight in a hotel in Sydney, work all day on a Thursday, and then fly home late on Thursday night. And so and this is just sort of something that I'm thinking about. Like, do we buy in Sydney? Do we buy and live near an airport? Like, what do you think is the future of work post-COVID?
Well, I think you're hitting the nail on the head. People can now earn a reasonable living working from home and working from any location with the right employer, with the right corporate support. Now, there is some resistance and there is some debate about whether we should all go back or all stay home and what have you. But I think in the last, the last 2 years of COVID has probably taught us that there's been a big mistrust from corporate Australia, that they haven't believed that we can, when I say we, I mean the majority of good, hard-working people who can do it, who can juggle, and who can put their 37, 38 hours in, right? Let's just like not account for the bad lemons, right? Or the bad apples. But there's just been a massive mistrust issue with corporate Australia, and the fact that it's proven that it does work in most industries means that, people can actually earn $100,000 a year and not have to go into the city every day. Now, if you swing back to the 90s, you either have to be in the workshop, you have to be in the factory, or you had to be in the office, or you did not earn an income.
Yeah.
End of story. End of discussion. It's a totally different world we live in post 2020. So I'm a big believer in a mix of the two. I know that I get a bit stir crazy if I'm sitting around here for 2 weeks.
100%.
My partner works at home as well. 4 or 5 days a week. She pops into the city sort of once or twice a month. And we like having that break in terms of just going to the office, have a new environment, fresh set of eyes, talk to someone in the office, see some clients face to face, and then come back to your cave, so to speak, with your dual screens and all your gadgets that you need to really bunker down and get work done from home. So I'm all for it. I think it's great. I'm a big believer in, but I've always been a big believer in mixing things up. I was always doing a day from home or 2 days from home pre-COVID as well. So does that answer that question? I think it's a no-brainer, personally.
Yeah.
I think it is. Where do you buy exactly? If we actually had a proactive government, we may have had sort of some high-speed trains already connecting you from imagine if you can live up at Goulburn. Goulburn. So
right.
Goulburn, and you can get from Goulburn to Martin Place in 45. Imagine that. Living out at Goulburn, you get a half an acre there. You got a couple of chickens. The kids are running around, but you can still get into the CBD within 48 minutes. 45 minutes. Wouldn't that be a dream? But the point is, we're slowly going that way. I think.
Yeah.
But it's going to take time.
No, it's wild. I'm probably one of the last people that would ever consider, moving far away from the city. I mean, before I became a father a couple of years ago, I was living literally literally in the middle of the city. And now my kitchen and my living room overlook, the harbor and the city and the bridge. And I'm like right in the thick of it. Right. So if I can't live in the middle of it, I want to at least look at it. Right? So the fact that I'm sort of judging, I'm addicted to being where the heart of everything is. And if someone like me is looking at other options out there, then it's sort of as far as the litmus test goes, I think I just, even though you've got people like Elon Musk who are saying, everyone has to come back into the office and things like that, on the flip side, you got Atlassian who are saying you don't have to come into the office, right? So for every tech company and for every sort of employment environment that puts strict, requirements on people, there's just as many who don't.
Yeah.
And so in the war for talent, and it is a war for talent, in the war for talent, I keep looking at it and I keep thinking that it's sort of inevitable that the change is here to stay. But all of that aside, mate, I'd love to talk investment returns with you. I one of the things that you brought up earlier was, your clients know that every 6 to 7 years you're going to get a negative result.
Yes.
We've seen, I think it was the NASDAQ is down, I think about 30%.
Yep. I can feel that pain as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And yeah. And I was listening to something today on the bloke that predicted, on The Big Short, it's the crazy guy who doesn't wear shoes. It's the Christian Bale character. That's exactly right. So it's the real guy. I can't remember his name, but he's on Twitter and he talks about what he's doing next and everything like that. And he seems to think that there's been a multiple compression. So which is I guess a natural thing when there's fear in the market. So rather than paying 30 times, you're paying 20 times instead because of multiple compressions. And so the next thing that's coming, as per Christian Bale's character, the next thing that's coming is earnings compression. So he tends to think due to inflation, due to interest rates going up, less money being spent, companies are going to make less money. So he was sort of insinuating that perhaps we're only halfway through a collapse.
That's a large insinuation because when you say companies,
Absolutely.
That is very open-ended, that is very subjective. You cannot tell me that every single company is going to be as interest rate sensitive as the next.
Agreed.
I don't give that too much energy. There's going to be
and I'm with you as well. Like it is. There's so much noise in the market in terms of what's going to happen next. How do you've been doing this for quite a while?
Yes.
How do you handle these kind of conversations these days
with clients?
Yeah.
Market volatility.
Yeah, and being in the middle of it.
Yeah, cool. I handle it quite well. Yeah, but been doing it for 12 years, obviously come in post-GFC. But I've seen enough now to understand that a good portion of this is money psychology and is a mental game, and is hysteria and is fear and greed. And I train my clients. I pre-position losses almost every single year. I'm consistently underestimating and sort of painting a worse off picture than things tend to be, and getting them to understand that you're going to come in every 5 or 6 years, and I'm going to say, hey, Nancy, tough year this year. As you know, we've done negative 8% here, and what I do in these periods of volatility is I really tilt the review meeting back around to education, and I help the client to remember that we can't be too short-sighted here. If you're looking at Hyperion Australian Growth Fund giving us negative 17 mid-June 2022, well, hold on, I've got your report from when we caught up exactly 12 months ago, and Hyperion was giving us positive 43. So let's just understand that the good comes with the bad.
Yes.
And then I basically got them all covered off. There's not one client that's been overly concerned or worried. I think
Awesome.
I haven't even picked up a client email yet. During times of volatility, I tend to reach out a bit more than normal. Capstone does provide a fairly good market update, which gives you some layman's terms type stuff.
To everyone, like as a newsletter kind of thing?
As a bulk X-Plan email to my
Cool.
OSA clients, my paying clients.
Excellent.
But basically, I make sure that I understand what is happening and have a way to give them the 2-hour summary in 5 minutes or less. And I make sure I pre-position that with all my in all my meetings. I actually give them the 5-minute summary. I sort of boil them down, if you want to call it that, so that they understand that, hey, my advisor knows what's going on. He understands the reason behind the volatility. Even if he can't change it, he understands the reason. And so I've talked them through the whole, interest rate, inflation, cost of living, change of conversation that took place around December last year. Because that conversation switched pretty quick from COVID to cost of living in a matter of weeks.
Yeah.
And then before you knew it, all the FUD kicked in, the fear, the uncertainty, and the doubt. And then that just all snowballed with all the combination of the Ukraine war and the other macro factors. So I just keep my clients educated and I keep them in touch. And I even pull out 7-year, 10-year, 20-year charts and say, go on, tell me when Brexit was. I want you to tell me, because Brexit was scary. Remember Brexit? Oh, the UK is going to exit the European Union, and the market was down for a good month and a half, 2 months, and clients were calling up and this and that. And you know what I did? I made my clients point out on the graph, on the chart, when was Brexit, and 9 out of 10 got it wrong. Do you know why? Because it's irrelevant, because it doesn't matter to them, and it won't matter in 10 years' time.
100%.
Little blip on the map, and only one client picked it correctly for 2016. All of them said, "Oh, was it this one here, 2019?" And most of them picked the big COVID drop in March 2020, because guess what? They got no idea, because they're focused on enjoying retirement, enjoying their life, enjoying their kids, and just letting the market do its thing over time.
That's awesome, man.
So that's how I do it.
Yeah, no, I love it. I love it. And for as stock standard, if you want to call it as that is, for a financial planner, the confidence and I think the tactics and the exercises that you put your clients through in terms of, hey, you tell me when the last thing happened, I think it's great. I haven't actually heard that one before. That's awesome.
Yeah, I like that one. You always say, hey, remember when GST was introduced or when Trump got in? All these, like I say, the world towers went down. Like all these things, you've been alive through all this. You know better than I do probably that these things are going to pop up. And I say, when this is all over, when this shitstorm's all over, guess what's going to happen? Sydney Morning Herald are going to come out and say, India and China forming superpower. And that's going to be the next little thing we got to worry about. And it's just going to be something every single time. Because back in the day, you had to open up the paper and have a read of what was happening. And now it's Twitter, Facebook, Comsec, Tom Petrovsky, live feeds, Instagram feeds. You get a text from your mum's uncle, market's going down. You find this information is very, very quickly dispersed, and the level of hysteria is increased. RBA shock market with $4 billion drop. No, it didn't really shock the market. Most people in their 60s know that rates have to go up because they went through that cycle. They've been through this cycle.
Yes.
So I just try and use these examples to illustrate my point to clients. And when they hear these things, they go, well, Dylan, we know this is true already. Thank you for giving us that confidence. So.
That's awesome, man. No, I love that. That's legitimately the best explanation of how I handle down markets that I've ever heard. So take my hat off to you, mate.
Thank you.
All right, cool. So 2 more things.
Yeah, sure.
I want to cover like tech efficiencies, what you found over the years since buying the practice and what you're up to now. And then last, we'll go into client acquisition and we'll get out of it. So number 1, tech efficiencies. And you don't have to use specific pieces of tech, but what are you finding right now? Yep. Or you can, but I don't mind. Do whatever you like. But in terms of what are you finding right now has been the biggest bang for buck or best decision you've made in terms of tech and efficiencies over the last couple of years?
Sure. The biggest bang for buck, this is going to be an obscure answer, is I can see so many advisors out there searching for the mecca, the holy grail of technology solutions and Band-Aid solutions and just solutions in general. You're looking too hard. You don't have to have every single piece of tech on the market. The harder you search and the more you're trying to connect those puzzle pieces, you're actually going to do yourself a disservice. We can be modern and be slick, innovative advisors. We don't have to use every single piece of tech out there. You're going to kill yourself. You're going to drown yourself. I'm telling you. It's okay to use some old school techniques for some things if they work. Yeah. But for me, obviously using Xplan, it is mandated, but using Xplan to the fullest of its efficiencies. I know it's clunky. It's a love-hate relationship, but it does the job. We've got pre-COVID, we had about roughly 29% of our clients serviced by phone and video only. We're now just about to hit 40% video phone only, which is great. So clients not only locally but interstate in Sydney, because I'm in Wollongong. Yep. So just using, as simple as it sounds, the free meetings, Teams meetings, and then the paid Zoom. I mean, it's really simple. Getting your older clients trained up on Zoom so they feel comfortable logging in if you see a client every 6 months, maybe you do one Zoom session and one face-to-face. We use Calendly. I only use it. I don't use it in the way that most advisors use it. I only use it for my 30-minute filter phone calls. I don't use it for review meetings because I like to stack my review meetings in a certain way.
Yep.
It's like a custom way. Whereas a lot of other advisors, I know they're just happy to have the calendar open and they can just pick their slots.
Yeah.
So I'm a little bit manual in that sense. I like to call the client and lock them into when I want them in.
Yes.
Obviously, LastPass, been using LastPass for years. Probably drown without LastPass. But realistically, what else is there, Clay? What else do we use these days? Obviously, got my webcam here and my speakers. I mean, you don't really need a lot to run an efficient financial planning practice. You really don't.
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
You have clients that use that T word with you, and that T word is trust. And they say, Dylan, it's great what you do for me. We love all this, we love all that, but we just ultimately trust you and we love you. And you repay that honor by looking after them with everything you've got. It really doesn't cost a lot of money to run a good financial planning business.
That's awesome, man. It's and like I super respect that answer as well, because obviously like tech, in general, it's a talk about love-hate. It is a love-hate, right? So I think it's a big investment. It's, if you think about sort of like insurance, fund managers, platforms, and tech, they're kind of the four categories that, given an average piece of advice, it's sort of the four categories that you're going to touch on in terms of what you'd be a product provider. Insurance companies, very easy to add in new ones into the panel or to interchange them, because at the end of the day, it's a commoditized product at the end of a recommendation, and each company is going to be different depending on what's best for the client. Fund managers, the same sort of, every year, a fund manager or two or will sort of come in or drop out of a model portfolio or a managed accounts solution. And they're easy. Fund managers and insurance companies, easy to interchange. Investment platforms are a little bit harder. Typically, especially if you're using it in front of a client, you're going to want to know where everything is. It's a proficiency exercise. So, and an efficiency. So proficiency and efficiency exercise. So, but obviously just with the nature of how advisors have moved from large practices from large licensees to small licensees, it's been an opportune time for the independent platforms to take market share. But in general, there's somewhat of an investment required on the advisor to consider swapping and changing. But with technology, that's a real investment. It's a real investment of time. It's a real investment of money. It's a real investment of opportunity cost. And so what I've found is tech is an enabler for sure. But if you drown in it, you end up not only where you started, but in a worse position. So it's kind of cool to hear, like a younger guy like yourself, with a practice who technically would be one of these, innovative practices, but you're still talking about, hey, wait a second, like I don't have to use everything. Sometimes a phone call does the job.
Yeah, I think we put pressure on ourselves to use everything, and we see it from our peers because we're always sharing ideas and we're always trying to find better ways of doing things. But sometimes, like you say, like if a no change ROA takes me 90 seconds to do, is there any merit in me outsourcing that 90-second no change ROA? I think someone on XY, this wasn't me, someone said if it takes 5 minutes or less, do it. But the same applies for technology. If it's just a quick thing, like there's a solution, but it's a nice to have, not a need to have.
Yeah.
The best bang for buck, would be Microsoft 365. We keep all our files on that server. And once it goes into its final folder, it's called filing or to be filed. That goes to Xplan, then we never see the file again. That's about $50 a month.
Yeah.
And HelloSign, which is a cheaper version of DocuSign, which I think is better. I've been using that for maybe 7 years now. That cost me about $200 a year, and that is godsend. Client doesn't need to sign in; they can sign on their phone, they can type, they can sign, they can use laptop. I've got 97% of clients on HelloSign.
Amazing. Yeah.
Best bang for buck, those two I should have mentioned before. Sorry.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then the last question is client acquisition. So obviously, you're a lifestyle business, so you're not massively focused on client acquisition, as would say a ravenous growth company would be. But I'm still interested. You mentioned you got some interstate clients, right? So obviously there is some level of client acquisition that's still going on.
Yep.
What are you finding works well for you and what doesn't?
Yeah, sure. I'll give you 3 points here. First one, I've been very, 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 very selective of who I take on as a new OSA or ongoing service client. In the last.
I didn't make the cut, for the record. You did my insurance. Said you went, mate.
Yeah.
That's
well.
The end of
the last 4 years, I've been very conscious about which OSA clients we take on and how many for different reasons. And the second point is I don't provide advice to family or friends any longer. I've done that a few times in the past, and it's a great debate on XY, isn't it? Really.
Yeah.
But it just has never worked for me, and it just has come back to be not a good feel or a good situation. I've got my best friend. I still look after him, insurance and super, and I'm just about to turn him pro bono in November. So I'm still going to look after him as per normal review cycle, be there for him, hold his hand, be there for his family because I love him to death.
Yes.
But I don't want to charge him anymore. That's my own personal decision.
Yep.
But he provides ad hoc sort of IT help to me, so it's kind of a really nice synergy. But
cool.
So I only added 2 new OSA clients in the last 12 months.
Wow.
They were quality, but I let go of about 8.
Wow.
Yep.
There you go. That's awesome.
XY knows I've been trimming down for about 3 years.
Yeah.
As you know, with the commercial aspect of financial planning costs going up, you just can't keep a client that's paying you $800 a year anymore.
God, no.
You just can't.
No.
And that number's a lot higher as well.
Yes.
So I've let go of 6, 7, 8 clients. Very comfortable with that. I've got 2 more to trim down this next 12 months.
Wow.
And then there's no more trimming, so to speak. It'll just be adding the ones that I want at the right time. What's working for me, I don't advertise. I don't pay for marketing. I don't pay for anything. I have my Google Maps, my Google reviews.
Yep.
I've got 36 5-star reviews, number 2 in Illawarra. That generates all of my inquiries, plus word of mouth from existing clients and family of existing clients. And I'm still very selective with who I take on. It's an email. They've got to go through the website.
Yep.
Put through their little 5-question sort of questionnaire on the website.
Yep.
I don't take calls. I screen all my calls. If they leave a voicemail saying, "Hey, I'm looking for advice," I say, "Here's the website link." That's the first process.
Yep.
If I think I can help them from that little snippet of information, I'll send them my 6 steps to financial foundations for 30s, 20s, and families.
That's awesome.
The link to my 30-minute filter phone call, and I'll explain to them that the phone call is for me to find out a bit more about what they're about, what they want, what they need. Help them understand what the financial planning process is like, and more importantly, if we're going to be a good fit. And I've got 2 business rules. If I don't think I can make a genuine positive financial impact on their journey or actually add value to their financial journey, I'll tell them that, and I'll say, "I'm not the right person for you. You need to see this person, that person, or you're not quite ready for advice. Email me in 12 months." From the filter phone call, if it's a good fit and I think I can help them in some way, shape, or form, I'll explain what our discovery meeting looks like. It's a 2-hour Q&A, concept, goal setting session, very in-depth, very personal. I charge $375 for the one-off consultation. If we go to advice, I scrap the $375. It's more of a barrier, more of a a blocker. And if they just need that one-off session for some general sort of information, some high-level general sort of advice, they might just be on their way, and I'm comfortable with that, and then that's that.
Dude, that sounds so relaxed, confident, and sustainable.
Sustainable, yeah. It took me a while to get there. I started introducing the fee for the first meeting in 2017, and it's been a blessing. It's been a blessing.
That's awesome, man.
And I tell clients specifically, because I can see I've got 3 young kids, I could take on heaps more clients, but I choose not to. And I specifically tell them it's the opposite effect. You know the opposite effect?
Yeah.
I say you don't want their business, and they come flocking to you. I say,
yeah.
I could take on so much more clients, but I'll be cutting corners, either unintentionally or intentionally.
Yes.
My work for you, I'd be providing you with dog shit. Dog shit, dog input in. And that's the sort of advisor I am. I'd rather take an extra second meeting with you, a third meeting with you,
extra
couple of hours with you, and to take less profit and take on 5-6 less clients. And when you tell them that, they come running to you. It's the weirdest thing. Or when you say, look, like, I know I can help you, but it's, I can't start for this many weeks, or, I just want to make sure, like, I'm going to take this really slow. Most advisors will do this in 8 weeks. I need like 14 weeks. They like come running back to you. It's like the opposite. It's the weirdest thing.
It is weird, man. But I mean, it all makes sense at the same time. I'll tell you what's super interesting. Our chairman, Roxy, is currently today, because he has another company called Lydian that does mortgages. And he's currently out at Sydney Olympic Park, because have you ever heard of Pepper Mortgages, like Pepper Bank?
Yes.
So each year they look for a mortgage company that's doing good work, for community and charity. And so he's winning an award today because they allocate a small amount for every mortgage that goes through to building water wells in these, disadvantaged communities overseas.
Yes.
And so he's winning an award, his Pepper Money Award. And one of the things that it just dawned when you said, I charge $375, but then I refund it to them anyway, kind of thing, because it's not really about the money. It dawned on me that Benny Nash does a fee up front in the same way that you do, but he puts it all to
donates it.
Yeah, he donates it. Yeah. So like if I don't know if that's relevant or not, but it basically, and look, we at XY, we don't do anything. So I'm not sort of speaking from personal experience, but it is something that it's kind of one of those things that is a nice to have, and you'd like to set it up. But the way that you described it, I literally thought you were going to say at the end, and we donate it. But I guess the only reason I'm really bringing it up is because it's so topical at the moment with Roxy being winning an award. And really, why I'm really bringing it up is Clayton. We really need to be doing this at XY. So I'm telling you, but I'm really telling myself.
Yeah. I think clients just see through bullshit so quickly and so easily. Yeah. And if you're genuine and it sounds weird, but I mean, I do swear sometimes in meetings, because I think when you swear, provided you don't upset the client and the client can handle it, you are providing impact, and you are actually showing some genuine passion. And clients can normally see that authenticity and can see he's actually telling us the truth here. He's telling us, like, it checks out. He's not in a fancy office. He's got 3 kids. Like, he checks out that he doesn't take that many clients on. He's selective about who takes on and why he takes them on, and that actually makes them want to come back even more. So it's more of it just worked in my favor that I've got this little spiel that I give, but it actually is very, very true, and it seems to have them flocking back, even if it's just for little bits and pieces of work. So,
dude, it's awesome. I like. There was a couple of things that I'm pumped to hear. There's a couple of things that you surprised me with in terms of, your approach to tech and things like that. But all in all, thank you. It's been an absolute pleasure getting the chance to catch up with you again, sort of touch base for the first time, I guess, in a couple of years with COVID and everything. And mate, thank you for sharing with the XY listen. It's quite large these days. The podcast gets, I think I mentioned we've had 500 podcasts in Australia, crazy, let alone around the world. And yeah, we get like 20,000 downloads a month these days, which is just wild, right? Like, that's more advisors than there are in the industry in Australia. So crazy. Yeah, so as someone who has certainly been there since day one of the journey, it's awesome to catch up and speak to you, man. So thank you.
It almost went too fast. We could just be talking for hours. I'm always happy to share, even on the forums and on the page. I'm a big sharer, so totally. I'm an oversharer, though. I'm always.
Well, I got a question. How do you keep that hairline? No, I'm kidding.
It's receding very quickly, and the grays are kicking in very quickly. I'll be 34 next year, so
I can see that. Oh my God. Oh, big man. All right. Well, great to catch up, and I really appreciate your time, man.
Appreciate yours as well. You take care, and you keep looking as young as you are, and you'll be leaving us all for dead.
Cheers, buddy.
See you, mate. Bye.